Hello fans, Life with Nancy Carol again. Have you ever wondered why all the time we say, eat your money, life is short? Have you ever sat to think what actually that means? Okay, here we are. Today I'm going to bring you the silent killer diseases that while you're eating your money and enjoying everything, you might actually kill yourself. So today I'm going to discuss the silent killer diseases that that are taking so many lives recently. These are very known to us, but somehow society has decided to ignore the fact that these are killing people. A big number of people are dying of these things. However, it is sad that the symptoms are not known until the disease has progressed to severe forms. So usually that's why they're referred to as silent killer diseases. So these silent killers, I'll just mention 6 of them. Please subscribe, watch until the end. Let's stick with me as we discuss this. Ahead we shall be discussing the major interventions of if you've been diagnosed with these illnesses. What exactly can you do to prolong your life, not to die early? And also I'll be discussing the major preventions for these silent killers. So stick with me, Life in Nancy Carol, as we teach each other to eat our money but also to live long. So the first is hypertension. I know you've had so many people suffering from this disease. So many people call it pressure. So pressure is medically diagnosed when you have a blood pressure of 140 over 90 millimeters of mercury. So whenever you go to the doctor and your pressure is skyrocketing to go beyond that, I think it's important for you to start worrying. But not only worrying, you also need to take interventions very seriously so that you can prevent further complications from this disease. So blood pressure is the pressure that the blood pushes against the walls of the arteries as the heart is pumping. So when the blood pressure is very low, the organs in the body will not get enough of the oxygen and the nutrients that they need. However, if the blood pressure is very high, chances are that these arteries, due to the very increased pressure, they'll burst out, leading to bleeding. And if it happens in the brain, that's where you hear that someone has had a sudden stroke. These people, their prognosis is usually not good. So the best we can do is to monitor before we get there, and when we get there, we need to do the interventions that I'll be discussing further. Second is diabetes. So that majorly two different diabetes. There is one that they call insipidus, that is usually different from the mellitus. I'm here to discuss diabetes mellitus, or what you call sugar, sukari in Luganda. So usually this happens when the body is unable to metabolize or to break down the glucose in the blood. So you end up having high levels of glucose in the blood because probably you don't have a hormone called insulin that's secreted by the pancreas that is responsible for regulating the amount of glucose in your blood, or your cells are not sensitive to the insulin you actually secrete. So in this circumstance, this is specifically called the type 2 diabetes. There's also type 1 diabetes where your body doesn't secrete insulin at all, or very minimal insulin. So in that case, how do you survive with this diabetes? Because one, you should know that it is chronic. Second, you should know that diabetes will affect every organ of your body, whether you want it or you don't like it. It will affect your vision, it will affect your kidneys, it will affect your heart, it will affect most of the systems that you have. So the best way is to either prevent it or curb it where it is so that you don't progress to complications. 3 is cancer. Cancer, by the time most people are diagnosed with cancer, it's in the advanced stages, and there is little or minimal that they can do to improve the prognosis or the recovery from these cancers. Cancers can affect any organ in the body. Name it: the heart, the lungs, the skin, whatever organ is in the body, a cancer can affect it. And usually, in simple terms, there's a balance between cell production and cell death. So that keeps the body in balance, the cells in balance. However, when there is more production of cells than those that are dying, that can lead to a cancer. And you find that these cells that are produced in very large numbers are most times immature, so they're unable to perform a function of a mature cell that is actually produced by a normal body that is not cancerous. So in this stage, you will not notice that these cells are being produced until a given time when they are producing symptoms, and sometimes, like in Uganda, it's usually too late to intervene. However, when that happens, still there are some interventions that you can actually take on, and medically you can be helped to prolong your life. The next, liver diseases. The liver is the largest solid organ in the body that does a lot of functions, which include filtration, digestion, metabolism and detoxification, protein synthesis, storage of vitamins and minerals. Now imagine those functions in case it fails or it is injured in one way or the other. How do we injure our livers? Excessive alcohol consumption, viral infections like hepatitis, and so many other things that can damage your liver. However, you will actually not know that your liver has been damaged in the initial stages until it's too late. And by this time, usually you've started getting very serious symptoms. You find that some people will start collecting water in their abdomen. So you keep going, they remove that water, but that water keeps coming back, keeps accumulating. They remove, but it keeps accumulating. Sometimes people get bleeding in their esophagus, what we call the varices, because the liver has been scarred, and so the blood doesn't move freely in the arteries. So due to the inability of the blood to move with normal pressure, the pressure builds up, and these veins, these arteries burst out because the pressure is too much. So in that case, prevent or intervene in the early stages to prevent the complications. Next, the kidney diseases. This has been so neglected, but when you go to the dialysis centers, you know that so many people are so much affected that you need an intervention. You need a preventative measure to actually curb this. Men are more affected with end-stage renal failure than the women. Do you know why? Because while the women have a better health-seeking behavior, the men reluctantly step back and think their wives will go to hospital and get them medication while they are actually dying. Their diseases are actually growing day by day. Their kidneys are shutting down day by day. You will not see any symptoms, or you will not recognize the symptoms in the early stages. Usually, people will see the symptoms when it's already late. They're in end-stage failures, and there is little, minimal, or nothing that can really be done. And in this case, you end up putting so many people in dialysis. This is a very costly procedure, because it's not only done once, it might be done 2 to 3 times a week, and it could be lifelong. This is very expensive. So the best we can do is to prevent it or intervene in the early stages. So last but not least, major depression or mental illness. In this topic, I'm going to focus mainly on the major depression. In my videos earlier, I discussed a lot about depression, and if you're to look on my YouTube channel, you can go back, read the signs and symptoms, read the interventions, how best you can manage yourself on top of the medical management. This has claimed so many lives, and day by day it's taking more lives. People are getting shot by others who are depressed. People are getting shot by themselves, which is called the suicide. Day by day, we keep seeing these cases here and there. The poor and the rich are affected by this. But how do we get there? Silently, we start losing ourselves. We start losing the control that we've ever had, and boom, kaput. You hear someone killed themselves, and then you wonder, what exactly happened? How did he end up doing that? It's because your body, your brain is actually unable to balance your mood and then your thoughts. This can actually be intervened. This can be managed, friends. So, there's so much that we can discuss in the silent killer diseases, but in summary, take note. Hypertension, diabetes, cancer, major depression, kidney diseases, liver diseases. They are killing everyone, killing people silently. So don't ignore them, take them seriously. Make sure that you do something to prevent this. And if you have this, please follow and know how best can you intervene this to prevent further complications. Thank you for watching. I love you.